Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Breadcrumbs of Inspiration, a place where we really dissect success. We look into what it takes to truly be successful in your mind, body, soul, in terms of finances and all those fun things. And we find the right people to share those messages, those stories to help you empower your life to become the best version of yourself. And what I'm super passionate about is letting people know they're not a victim to their circumstances and that they can turn their pain into power. And your pain can actually be one of your greatest gifts, as it has been for myself. And today I want to dive into that a little bit deeper. Not necessarily pain, but the pain that is created in your life. And it starts by your limiting beliefs. We all have beliefs. Some empower us, some disempower us. But at the end of the day, we all believe something. Some people believe in God, some people don't. Some people believe they're worthy of love, some people don't. And the list goes on and on and on. Now, this podcast really manifested from two separate things that occurred in my life, and I'll share both of them. And they're very personal, so I'm going to get a little vulnerable and just kind of share my heart with you guys because if I'm going to talk about this stuff, and I've talked about this on recent episodes, but if I'm going to really dive deep into this, I have to show people, I have to show who I truly am and things I went through and how I overcame them, what I did to overcome them, because it's totally empowered me and it's changed my life. And now I want to give back. So this really came from, I'll share the first story. It's much lighter. It's a conversation that I was having with someone on my team. And they were struggling and they were kind of having a hard time with some of the things in our communication. I'm a very direct person, especially when it comes to business. I just say it like it is. There's not much emotion attached. And sometimes I had forgotten that, you have to be mindful of the way the other person receives your communication. And to make a long story really short, we hopped on a call and it really quickly turned into a coaching call where I was kind of helping her realize that there was actually a lot of limiting beliefs behind what she was perceiving the way I was treating her. And I'm not going to mention any names, but what ended up happening was throughout the conversation, she mentioned literally, and it was about a 30-minute conversation. In the first 5 to 10 minutes, she said the word failure. I feel like a failure. I feel like I'm failing probably 25 to 30 times. And I just noticed that clearly a pattern. And nowhere in the work she has done with me and for the company have I ever perceived it as failing. I never saw it as, oh my God, she's doing such a bad job and she's horrible and I'm going to fire her. Never once did that cross my mind. But because her perception was I am failing at this because of my constructive criticism, that reaffirmed her belief that she's a failure. Once we dove deeper into the truth about that, it turned out that she had experienced something in her life that made her feel like a failure when she was young. And this lady's a grown adult. And that pattern had carried with her. And because of a little bit of uncertainty in her life at this time of the season she's in her life, she was a little bit more sensitive than usual, and that's totally valid. And because of the way I was speaking to her, it was triggering her. But then we were able to really diagnose what was really going on, that it had nothing really to do with my delivery, although I took responsibility and said, I can definitely improve on that because I can. And it was a valuable lesson for me too. But for her, it was, how do we switch the mindset behind something like this happening in our life? Because if we want the world to always respond to us, that is the most unrealistic expectation ever. The world is not going to respond to us. We're going to have to respond to the world because the world's going to give us shit. The world's going to kick us on our knees. This is just how life is. And sometimes it's really, really challenging. So for her, I helped her make a shift of, you're attacking me to, wow, you're trying to help me. And that's a really big shift, going from, oh my gosh, you're hurting me, to you're giving me a gift. And it's all in the perception. And it can literally change like this. And we had a really, really powerful experience where, she got really emotional and she had this big breakthrough because she started to see, holy shit, this pattern has occurred in every area of my life. And we all have these things. We all have strong beliefs at our core that drive our lives. And now I want to get vulnerable with you guys and share probably the most challenging thing I ever had to overcome in my life, and how literally up until this year, which is why I'm stepping into creating this podcast and getting so vulnerable and interviewing people of success and putting myself out there, because I'm ready, because I overcame what I'm about to share with you. So when I was younger, I aspired to be really successful. When I was 16, I watched a movie called The Secret, and it radically changed the course of my life. And because of my mindset, because of my success-oriented mindset of wanting to meet people of success, wanting to become successful, wanting to make a lot of money, I attracted people who really had those abilities, who were very spiritual, who were making a lot of money at a young age, who had a business. And I had a lot of beautiful mentors and teachers in my life. Well, as I got older, I started seeking more and more and more. And I had an experience with a mentor that, really hurt me, that really kind of left me scarred. So I thought. So I'm not going to get into the details of the experience, but essentially my biggest hero abused me. And for so long, I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to cope with it. And I didn't even really think it was that big of a deal at the time it was happening, because I didn't even know what was fully going on. Well, as I got older, and as I matured, I started to see how that experience, although it was such a shock to my system, that I totally forgot who I was. And even talking about it, it's not the most comfortable thing to talk about because it still brings back certain memories that are painful. But I want to share with you how I freaking broke through this, and it changed my whole life. And there's layers of this experience. But what I want to talk about first is how it started to destroy my life, and how your limiting beliefs may be destroying your life without you even knowing it. So that experience happened to me when I was younger. I wasn't a kid. I wasn't a baby. I was definitely an adult, but it was younger than I am now. And, what started to happen was I started to notice that every single person in power, because this person was a person of power, I didn't trust them. I was scared of them. I thought they were going to hurt me. I was never vulnerable with them. I always had a wall. I always just couldn't be myself. I would become really, really small, because I felt like if I become really, really small, I won't be seen. And if I'm not seen, I can't be hurt. Genius solution, right? Well, that's not how life works. And because of the nature of my business and what I do for people, which is social media with, powerful spiritual leaders in this world, I constantly was triggered. I've worked with I counted it not too long ago, over 20 different spiritual leaders in my time. And every time I was around them, I got triggered. They weren't trying to hurt me, not all of them. But I had this perception that I can't trust people, that people are out to hurt me, that, I have to protect myself. And my protection mechanism was just fear. I didn't know how to protect myself. I was just scared. And in that, boom, a wall, a mask, an identity that wasn't me. It was something, a limiting belief that was created because of trauma, because of an experience I went through, which is how most of our life goes. Well, to fast forward, now the problem, the limiting belief I had. What took place in the years after was exactly that. I actually started to attract these same types of people who hurt me, who genuinely hurt me, not through the lens of my limiting belief, who were actually hurting me, who were manipulative, who were, all those things. And I can go on and on and on. But here's the thing. The reason that kept occurring was because it was such a core belief of mine that that person is going to hurt me, that it became true. Our reality, we create reality, and the lens of our reality, of that filter, is just our belief. You and I can look at the same thing and see two totally different things. I talked about this in a past episode. Two people can have the same experience or see the same thing and have a totally different experience. Why is that? It's because the beliefs are the filters. And if we don't work on finding the truth and seeing it better than it actually is, we'll never feel fully empowered in our life because we'll be totally riddled by fear. And it will drive us, and it will do things that are so far from who we are at our core, which is why people do crazy things that sometimes are unexplainable to the human mind. But that's what trauma does. It's a stress response, and we're trying to fill some type of need inside of us that we matter, that we're good enough. And for some people, that's joining a gang. For some people, that's hurting another person, because at some level, they're trying to meet a need that's core to every human being. So I wanted to share that story with you guys because it's so powerful, and I've never shared it publicly. Only very close people know what has happened to me, and I don't even want to say what has happened to me, but what actually happened for me, because that pain I went through, and I'm only sharing this because I know every single person has been through pain on some level, some more dramatic than others, but on some level, we've all experienced a level of pain that hurt. Maybe it was, having a hard breakup. Maybe it was getting abused. Maybe it was, someone close to you passing away. Maybe it was, something more physical, like a car accident that left you paralyzed. I don't know. Every single person has pain. So what I started to realize was, holy shit, this is actually controlling my life. And I arrived at that place through a multiple different, diving deep into meditation, diving deep into breath work, diving deep into different knowledge, learning from different teachers, going on meditation retreats, going everywhere to see how is this pain driving my life. And it absolutely was, because again, I thought I was those walls. So ask yourself, what is something in my life I experienced that created a limiting belief, that created a belief about life? And a way you can say it is, there's really two types of beliefs. And I actually learned this from Tony Robbins. There's global beliefs. I believe this about the world. I believe this about a certain type of person or people. I believe this about life. Those are global beliefs. And you can write yourself down, or write this down. I believe this about the world, and then fill in the blank afterwards. And then there's if-then beliefs, where if I do this, then I believe I'll feel like this. So, for example, I believed if I stood in my power, that meant I got hurt. Not a very empowering belief if I want to help people and change the world. So I had to get down to the core of what the hell was holding me back. And I arrived at that. I arrived at this place that I actually thought that everybody was out to hurt me. And then as I got older, it actually got way worse. It started going from people of power that were going to hurt me to like literally a stranger, like somebody I didn't even fully know. And after one interaction, I would become so awkward. I'd become so small. I'd become so in my head that I thought I was going to get attacked. And it was unconscious, of course, but I was able to really get down to this when I just sat down with a piece of paper and a pen, and I wrote down all my limiting beliefs. And I wrote them down really intensely, and I got really dramatic with it. And I said, what is my biggest limiting belief about life? And if you don't think you have any limiting beliefs, that's not true. If you want help with what a limiting belief may be in your life, just look at what you fear. If you follow what you fear, it will show you what your limiting belief is. So right now, I want you to maybe pause this if you're listening to it, or if you're watching on YouTube. Go ahead and pause the video and just take a second and write down all your disempowering, limiting beliefs. I'll let you take a second, and then we'll return back. All right. Now, on the other side, write down all your empowering beliefs, all the things that you believed are good about yourself, about the world, about God, about, anything. Just write them down and just kind of go on a rant while you're writing. Just kind of stream of consciousness writing. There's no right or wrong way to do this, but the faster you write, you'll actually start to dig deeper into yourself, and you'll start to uncover like, oh wait, that limiting belief, there's actually just another limiting belief or a limiting thought under that. So here's a few examples. I'm confident, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm whole, I'm connected to God. Some disempowering ones are I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy, I am this way because of this experience that happened to me. That was mine, the victim mindset. I don't have what it takes to become successful. I'll never have enough money. Money's the root of all evil. All these different limiting beliefs. So just go ahead and write the disempowering, the empowering, and then we'll come back in a second. Okay, so hopefully by now you wrote some stuff down. And if you didn't, I would really encourage you to pause this and do this, because I want to show you guys how you can make a shift really, really fast and hopefully change your life. So I'm going to tell you again, go ahead, pause this, and we'll come back in a second. Okay, so by now, hopefully you have some disempowering, limiting beliefs, and you have some empowering beliefs that serve you. Now, I want you to find your most disempowering, limiting belief. And if you don't know what it is, it's probably the one that when you look at it, you don't even want to admit that it's there. You don't want to think like, ooh, that's part of me. It's not part of you. You've learned it. That's not what you are. So I want you to find the very top limiting belief. And again, I'll use myself as an example. Everyone's out to hurt me. When I stand in my power, I get hurt. And find the opposite of that and challenge yourself of what the truth actually is. So for me, to give you an example, is everyone's out to hurt me. I changed it to the truth is everybody's good at their core. Right under that was pretty much when I stand in my power, I get hurt. So I'm powerless, essentially, is what it boiled down to. The truth is I am powerful beyond measure, and I'm connected to God in every second. And when I started to just say that, I was like, wow, that feels really good. And don't get me wrong, it didn't come right away. But as I challenged what I wrote down of like, what's really the truth? What's really the truth? What's really the truth? And I just like got into it. I started to formulate these sentences. And again, I learned this from Tony Robbins, who has been a dramatic, he really helped me in this process. And when I started to get down to the bottom of it, I started to believe I could change it. Now, here's where it really changed for me. So I was able to identify, this is my limiting belief. This is like the biggest thing that's held me back in my life. This is why I think I am the way I am. This is why I'm so awkward sometimes. This is why I'm an introvert sometimes. This is why I can't connect with people. These are all the limiting beliefs I had. I'm listing them off to you now. This is why I never feel good. This is why my life is the way it is. This is why I have anxiety. This is why I have depression. The list went on and on and on, all stemming from that one belief. So what I learned was you have to attach pain to not changing. So right now, you hopefully by now have a list of the things that are limiting you, your limiting beliefs. And again, let's just pick one for the sake of making it easy. And, this is just one simple example. But let's take the top one, the top biggest limiting belief. And you're going to now list all the ways this has hurt you, all the ways this has caused you tremendous pain. And for me, oh my God, the list went on and on. I can't trust anybody. That caused me just stress. That caused me frustration. I felt like I couldn't be who I was. I mean, that is such a stressful thought, not being able to just be yourself because you think everyone's going to attack you. So you always have to have some type of wall up. And the list went on and on and on. So ask yourself now, how is this belief creating pain in my life? And I want you to challenge yourself here, because most of the time, our beliefs are controlled by the languaging we put behind them. And there's usually a really big amount of intensity of like, I am this way because of this experience. I'll give you an example. What happened to me was different than the average person I had thought. I started to make a belief that I was special for the abuse that I experienced. I believed no one else has ever gone through something like this. Therefore, I'm special, I'm important. And it reaffirmed the belief further on why I couldn't actually make a change in my life. It pushed it so far into the victim mode that I didn't even see an opportunity to change. I didn't see anything other than that pain. And again, I just can constantly try to reaffirm it. No, people don't understand. I can't relate to anybody. And the list went on and on and on and on. And the truth is, it was all just a bunch of crap. And I was pretty much addicted to my own suffering, as a lot of people are. So if you attach a lot of pain to this not changing, if you don't change this belief, that's when you will make a change. And I'm actually by the end of this, I'm going to gift you guys a meditative process that I'm going to walk you through on how you can shift a belief. And this is something I do very, very often. So make sure you watch to the very end to receive that. So what is the pain you attach to this? Let's just use an example of, I'm unhealthy. Okay, well, the pain is I'm unhealthy. That means if I don't get into shape, one day I'm going to die. I mean, that's the end, Like if I don't make a change in my life, I'm going to have heart disease, or I'm not going to be able to see my firstborn child because I'm so out of shape. I'm not going to be able to experience love in my life because, no one will ever love me because I'm not in shape. Just attach a lot of pain to it. It doesn't necessarily have to mean it's true, but I want you to push yourself here, because if you attach the pain to it, that's when you're going to make a big shift. Okay, so I hope you got everything. And I hope you have now the pain, the empowering belief, the disempowering belief, and the new belief of what you're going to turn this into. So again, if I'm unhealthy, that's just your belief. I'm full of life and vitality. I have so much energy, whatever it might be. And everybody's different, so I'm just generalizing here. And the last thing I want to leave you guys with is your pain is your greatest strength. Your pain is absolutely your power. And when you can change your perspective on your beliefs, it's going to change your entire life, because most people don't realize how whole they are at their core. And most people actually, their biggest limiting beliefs is the opposite of what they truly are. Introverts think they're introverts, and sometimes people, that is their nature, but actually a lot of times they're extroverts, and something happened that caused them to be an introvert. And it's really empowering when you can start to see you're not your beliefs, and that all your pain and all the things in your life actually happened for you and not to you. And for my experience, what I went through, it was something that gave me more drive than the average person. It was something that drove me so deeply to figure out the truth, to find, ancient wisdom, the truth of reality. And I'm not saying I know the truth always, but I know the truth of myself. And what I found was I'm connected to God in every second. And some people may not be, religious or spiritual, but I believe we can all agree that on some level, there's this universe that has a consciousness. There's something that keeps, the blood flowing through our veins and our heart beating. Like it's not just random. Maybe if you're atheist, you believe that, but I don't believe that. And when I was able to discover that faith inside of me, it brought my power back. And then forgiving the people that hurt me, it just brought my power back. And most importantly, I became obsessed with trying to find answers. I became obsessed with not living my life through this painful place and doing whatever it took to heal. And I'm not saying it changed in one instance. It took years of work. I mean, years and years. And even now, till this day, sometimes I still can be triggered. But it's never like it used to be where I'd shut down completely. When it's happening now, I'm aware of what's going on inside of me. And then I just say it really quickly. All right, what's the truth right now? I'll say it in my head. It's like, these people aren't bad. They're doing the best they can. Everyone's good at their core. Now that's like my dominant thinking patterns instead of, oh my God, this person's trying to hurt me. I got to protect myself. And when you can do this, it will change everything for you. And, I really believe we're a soul. I truly believe that we are connected to something greater. And I always encourage people to challenge their beliefs in that area, because when you can just know moment to moment, every footstep, that you are powerful beyond measure because you are connected to something greater. That right there can solve all your pain, because that's what I believe is the higher self. That's the higher kind of divine part of our nature, of us as humans. And when we get out of the survival consciousness, we're able to make shifts and get insights and different kind of takes on life that leave us altered forever, which is why I'm so passionate about breath work, which is what we're going to do here shortly. So again, back to Tony Robbins, a lot of this I learned from him and I applied it. I'm not just teaching you from theory right now. This is stuff I have applied in my life on multiple different beliefs. I'm not just telling you one. There's been literally many. And he created this thing called the triad. And it's something I was using before I knew his work. And it's something a lot of actually my clients use, as well as just personal development teachers in general. But the way he really articulates it made the most sense for me. So I'm just going to share. It's called the triad. And it's really, really simple. There's pretty much 3 ways to make a change. Number 1 is physiology. Number 2 is focus. And number 3 is the meaning you give something. Okay, so what does that mean? So most people, they have really, really kind of low energy. And as I just talked about earlier, we perceive reality as what's going on inside. Our beliefs are a filter. And if our energy is low, we're going to perceive everything from that level. But if we raise our energy, it's going to actually start changing the way we see things, because we're going to have a different focus. Does that make sense? So a lot of times I use breath work, and I teach breath work, and I do this with people all the time, is the breath work changes your energy. It changes your state. It changes that internal process happening inside of you. And when that happens, you're able to change your focus. You're able to change what you're focusing on, because most people, they focus on their pain. They focus on their limitations. But if you can use your body as a tool to influence your mind, if you can use your body as a tool to influence your mind, you're going to start changing everything you're looking at. And instead of living in fear and all these limiting beliefs and all this just crap that you've piled up over the years, you're actually going to start focusing on gratitude. You're going to actually start focusing on love. You're going to actually start focusing on the truth, which is that, the opposite of what you think your limiting belief is. And when you can do this over and over and over and over and over, it starts to create like a muscle. It creates this force inside of you that is like so strong, and it starts to become your dominant, and you start to respond to life instead of react to life. So think about this for a second. What in your life is something you can be grateful for? And I mean really grateful for. I walk people through this process a lot, and I do it every day myself. I think about things I'm grateful for, things that occurred that were coincidences, things that occurred that were magical, successes, big wins, like just anything in my life I could be grateful for. And what this does, and I'm going to actually take you guys through the process right now, I'm just kind of giving you the overview, is it starts to change your focus. And what's happening is you're changing your heart rate, you're opening your heart, energy's going into your heart and your brain, and you're thinking about these experiences that moved you in a way. And if you have a hard time being grateful for something, again, This is a muscle. This is a skill. This is something you have to practice. So if I'm saying this to you and you're like, I don't know what I can be grateful for, that's okay. When we do this breath work, you're going to actually notice how much easier it is for you to be grateful because you're out of your head and you're into your body, you're into your heart, you're into your soul. But before we start, I just wanted to give you a preface so you can go into this like accelerated and kind of like make the process really easy and powerful. So if you can think of something you're grateful for, try to think about it and write it down, and just for a second, think about really what it is. What in your life was such a beautiful moment, and how did you feel, and what did it taste like? What did it smell like? What did it look like? And step into the picture as if it's already done, as if you're reliving it, as if it's here right now. And hopefully it brings a smile on your face. And if you can't do this, right now I want you to physically smile. I know it sounds funny, but if you're listening or watching, just try it. Just physically smile and see how quickly that actually changes how you feel. You want to know why? Because it's your physiology. It's the first step of the triad. So when you smile, your brain starts to your brain starts to create chemicals called dopamine, the feel-good chemicals. And instantly, you're able to change your focus because you're no longer in that same energetic state. Well, that's a small example, but if you try right now to like tense up, like just tense up and like make an angry face, and then try to take a really deep breath. It's hard. Like it's not easy. But if you smile and now try to take a deep breath, you're just breathing more. You're more expanded. You're more alive. You're more in a higher part of yourself. And these are all just small little examples, but I want to give you something tangible so you can see, wow, these little small tools are going to make a big shift. And I'm going to walk you through like a 15, 20-minute meditation, really a breathwork meditation where I'm going to help you destroy a limiting belief. I'm going to help you break through the other side and find the truth. And if you had a hard time with these exercises of writing it down and then, empowering, disempowering, pain, and creating the new belief, that's fine. Because when you do this exercise, because you're going to change your state, you're going to realize you're going to come up with way different insights than you normally would. So with that, I just really want to reiterate this again, that your pain is your power. Your pain is your greatest strength because it makes you wise. Your pain is something that is unique to you, but it's not who you are. And another great teacher I worked with, he taught me that when we take the emotion out of our pain, it becomes wisdom. And that always stuck with me because I was like, damn, that is so true. And now that I've overcome what I shared with you guys, this experience in my life, I'm now realizing how wise it made me. I'm now realizing that, wow, if that didn't happen to me, my life would not be the way it is. I probably wouldn't be doing the work I'm doing. I probably wouldn't be nearly as hungry as I am. I probably wouldn't really be doing much at all, to be honest. That was such a big domino, but in the positive. And I had to make the conscious choice to make that, because there's all been things in our lives that are unfair, that are unjust, that feel like, God is punishing us or life is punishing us for something. But I'm here to tell you, what if you could change that language from life is punishing me to life is giving me a gift? And that's what I did. And it allowed me to view my experience through a whole new lens, because I got out of myself and I saw God's perspective. I saw the universe's perspective. And if you could see yourself through the eyes of God, you would realize your perfection, your beauty, your love at your core. And sometimes we have to have our heart broken so that we can just know that we're loved. And I think it was Rumi who said, keep breaking your heart until it remains open. I think I'm paraphrasing, but it's such a powerful quote that sometimes life has to bring us pain so it can give us context to what life's really about, which is serving, which is, in my opinion, serving, helping others, leaving an impact, giving back, giving everything, and living a beautiful, purposeful life. But we can't get there if we don't change what's happening on the inside of us. If we don't actually get to the place of like, wow, the best day of my life actually turned out to be, the worst day of my life actually turned out to be the best day of my life. What if you could get there in yourself and you could change that? And it's like unlocking a key or one of those, I forget what they're called, one of those locks where you see your life through a whole new perspective. And when you do this, it begins the healing process. When you do this, you go from victim to victor, powerless to powerful, inauthentic to authentic, fear to love. And that's really what it always comes down to, because like Jim Carrey said, in every moment, every decision, we're either making it from love or for fear. Choose love. Because I don't remember exactly what he said. I'm paraphrasing, but it's something along those lines. Choose love, because fear is not what we're here to be. Fear is not what we're here to do. And what if life is a gift that God gave us? And our gift back to God is how beautifully we live life. And that we overcome ourselves and our traumas and our pains, and we live our life to the fullest so that we can be an example for others to do the same. I genuinely believe at my core, that's what all of this is about. As confusing as it may seem, I truly, truly believe that. And I'm not saying you have to adopt what I believe, but I want to encourage you to challenge who you think you are, what you think you are. Because like I said, so many people think they're their mask. So many people actually believe they are their pain, but you're not that. You're something greater. So with that, I'm going to leave you with one story, and it's a simple story, but it's a story about the magician named Houdini. If anyone knows who Houdini was, he was like this master magician, and he had so many like staple tricks up his sleeve that he used. And one time, what he was really good at was getting out of locks. And I'm forgetting the story to the exact details of like what city he was in and stuff. But there's a story, and it's online, you can look it up, where there was this master locksmith who wanted to challenge Houdini because Houdini claimed he could get out of any lock, out of the best kept, jail cell, and out of, all these different limitations and all these different obstacles. He just claimed it doesn't matter who makes the lock or what jail cell, he can escape it. And, he had a trick where he would use a pick and, undo the lock. And he had just mastered the skill. He could do it blindfolded. He could do it with his hands behind his body and his arms all tied up in like no possible way, ropes, knots, the whole thing, and then literal locks. So they put him in this jail cell. And again, this was like one of the best lock makers in the history of time. And they're like, you're not going to be able to unlock this lock. And he's like, Houdini. He's like, what do you mean? Like, I'm Houdini. I can unlock anything. I'm up for the challenge. So, he had his ritual where pretty much him and his wife would kiss right before he went to do a stunt. And a lot of times there was cameras and different things. They would search his clothes. But what they did was the wife had something that he could use to unlock the lock. It was like a pin or, one of those things you put in your hair. I forget what they're called. And they would slip it to each other when they were kissing. And that's one theory. There's multiple different ones, but this is the one I believe is probably the most accurate. So, they put him in this jail cell, they tie him up, they do all the things, and boom, he's there. And he's got like 12 hours or something, or 6 hours. I can't remember. And he gets out of like the locks on himself. But then he has to unlock the cell door, the jail door. And then he's a free man and has to do a few more things. So he does the close, he unlocks himself really, really quickly. And then he's getting to the jail door and he's just struggling. And 1 hour goes by, 2 hours go by, 3 hours go by. He's sweating. He's like trying to figure it out. And he's just starting to doubt himself. Like, what the hell? Like, I'm Houdini. I'm the master of breaking out of out of jail cells and the magic and everything. And I can't even do it. And the whole world's watching, there's a crowd of people. They're filming him. Everything's happening. And then he gets to a place where he only has 45 minutes left. And he's just like starting to give up. So he sits down and he just really starts to doubt himself. He starts to say, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. And he goes, no, I'm Houdini. And then he tries again. It's just nothing. And he looks at the clock and 30 minutes. Then on his last attempt, he's trying, he looks at the clock again, 20 minutes. And then he gives up. And he sits down against the jail door. And it opens. The door just magically opened. The guards that put Houdini in that cell forgot to lock the lock. So this whole time, he was waiting for the sound of it unlocking. He was waiting for I don't know what it's called in locks, but he was looking for something specifically that happens after every lock you unlock. And he had just memorized the pattern of doing this because he's done it thousands of times. But it never came with this lock. And I believe he might have been blindfolded. I can't fully remember the story in its fullness. But it unlocked as soon as he sat against the cell. And what does this say? Why do I tell this story? Because our beliefs shape our reality. And if we don't think there's something greater on the other side, we'll never get there. We need to know our outcome of where we're going. Houdini got lucky. In his attempt to do this, he gave up. But he tried his best. And then when he sat back on the door, it opened. And that's really a metaphor for your life. That's a metaphor for all of our lives. What locks are unlocked already inside of us that we're too married to the story of why we are the way we are, that we're not willing to just lean on the door. The door is the truth. The door is already unlocked. You just have to see it. So I want to walk you through a process that's going to hopefully leave you changed. And it's going to be a powerful meditation. It's going to be a breathwork meditation and really a mental rehearsal process so that you can break through these limiting beliefs. So if you're ready to destroy that limiting belief, read the caption below, or if you're listening, be sure to check out the description.